I am Nea, a powerful witch who has never felt so powerless as when facing Hayden. He is a hybrid, half hellhound and half fae, with the mysterious ability to cross over to the spirit world. We burned him alive, but he vanished mysteriously. I thought we were rid of him, but he is back, threatening the entire world. We were once his hunters, but now we've become his prey. And I, as the former leader, have no choice but to seek help from the spirit world and even engage in a chase that transcends life and death. Can we still win this battle? 23 as YUT for any AP. OV ancient as YUT 5th century. Central Southern Hemisphere. The coldness was there. While the priests started their ceremony, I stood beside Anubis while the priests chanted over and over again. A smell hit my nostrils. The incense overshadowed the minor odor. We waited for them to finish. I desperately wanted to go home, feeling eerily and uncomfortable. There were others around the temple, all non-human. Still it was comfortable knowledge. Some had long white robes, with hoods pulled down below their eyes. My senses lessened with the wave of air swishing around the steel bowl of fire. The sealed room contained such wind. It resembled a mini sandstorm. Fire created a DJ that fleeted away from me. I always hated large bodies of fire. Scooting closer to my mate, I looked around the shadows cased by high pillars. The fire lamps around the room roared aloud, resembled the fire in the middle. The high priest came forward towards Anubis, offering him the goblet with water from the Great Nile that Anubis must drink from after performing a successful ceremony. A way of passing on the energy from the spirits to the king. Someone banged on the temple door, calling out for me. It sounded like Daria, but no humans were allowed in the temple. The loud knock came again. I turned back to Anubis. He drank from his cup while a small tornado inside began. Simultaneously, the ritual seemed perfectly procedural. The warlocks and witches, otherwise known as priests and priestess, had ways to connect with the high powers. However, this time, my heartbeat resembled a galloping horse. My stomach dropped. Something inside the center of my chest felt warm and uncomfortable. I stared at Anubis, wondered why he put his hand on his chest. The burning sensation grew. The high priest took the cup back, handing it off his successor. He looked confused. "Would your highness like to take a seat?" He indicated the temple guards to bring him an armchair. This has never happened before. My fear grew as my gaze kept reverting back towards the figures who wore long robes with hidden faces. "My king, we must get out of here. Please." I bent on my knees next to his chair, putting my hand on his arm. I nearly fell back at the amount of heat that radiated from him. My love wit's wrong. There were tears forming in my eyes because deep down I knew he was getting up from the chair. His gaze lifted towards me. Seeing the silvery sheen crawling in from the corner of his eyes made my chest ache. His gaze lifted towards the priest behind me. He and his associates appeared to be shocked. Turning back towards Anubis, I put my hand on his chest. All things were created with gold, brass or wood. Silver was forbidden in kingdoms with werewolves. Only humans experimented with the art of silver. Go find out who did this. The high priest screamed at the guards. Everything erupted into chaos behind me, but my eyes stayed glued to Anubis. "Bring me the healer. My love, don't leave me," I pleaded. "Just hold on for me until the healer comes." I took his hand in mine, felt the coldness take over. Wolves were never cold. He tried to speak. His body shook uncontrollably. His body had always been warm against mine, but now it was turning silver and cold. His warm gold and brown skin started to fade to cold silvery blue. "Your Highness, it's a trap. They have silver. They bought Darius appeared seconds after the gates were open. The guards had a higher priority task than stopping my trusty head servant. "Oh, Your Highness." My inside felt hot. I wanted to strip of my clothes and bathe in the waters of Red Sea. Before we married, when he kept coming back for me, my throat hurt. His throat started to clog. I could feel everything he was feeling. His lips parted, gasping for Drying heaving convulsed his body, making him topple over from the towards me. I tried. The priest helped me lay his jerking body flat on the ground. My chest ached while I screamed for mercy. Anubis, please, my love, don't do this to me. I can't live without you. Tears charged down my face. My heart felt like it was being ripped away. My claws came out, teeth exposed in anger and agony. Ocean, look at me. Hold on. I spoke to him like we did before we became king and queen. Don't. I growled at the high priest to offer him the goblet. Get away from him. My hands felt numb from the coldness from his body. I didn't care when the priest fell backwards. I took his face in my hands. You will not leave me. My hands started to shake, nails digging into the skin. I kept screaming over and over again like a crazy person. His gaze felt so hollow, like he was looking through me. My breath caught in my chest. A sudden wave of air left my body. Gone. I felt as insubstantial as mist. A hollow vessel devoid of essence. The weight of my grief threatened to crush what remained of my being, leaving me weak and vulnerable in a world that had suddenly lost all meaning. His presence, once a constant warmth at my side, had vanished like smoke on the wind. I hadn't even noticed when his body ceased its desperate struggle against the inevitable. My love, please don't. My plea, barely audible, fell upon ears that would never again hear my voice now. The anguished howl that tore from my throat echoed through the temple, a primal sound of loss that sent shivers through the pack. A part of me hoped that my brethren would heed this cry as a call to arms, to seek vengeance against the humans who had brought such devastation to our kind. I felt gentle hands on my shoulder, accompanied by a voice thick with remorse, repeating apologies like a mantra. The touch, meant to comfort, only served to fuel my rage. You did this. I turned to face Daria, my eyes blazing with accusation. She shook her head frantically. Denial leapt across her features. You all did this. I screamed, my voice rive with pain and fury. Daria recoiled, her face a mask of shock and sorrow. No, I had no idea until the other servants started talking about humans smuggling in weapons. I came here as soon I heard. I'm sorry. Her words dissolved into sobs. I'm sorry. Despite my anger, I knew she spoke the truth. The realization was a bitter pill to swallow. Not all humans were evil, but their actions had still led to this moment of irreversible loss. Something within me shattered, the pieces scattering like shards of glass. I turned back to my mate, my gaze drawn inexorably to his face. His eyes, once filled with warmth and love, now stared sightlessly at the ceiling. The ache in my chest intensified, my throat constricting as if I were being strangled by my own grief. With trembling hands, I reached out to close his eyes, unable to bear the emptiness of his gaze any longer. Why, the question escaped me in a broken whisper, my face wet with an endless stream of tears. I leaned back, my body racked with sobs that threatened to tear me apart. Why? I screamed to the heavens, challenging any deity that might be listening to justify this cruelty. In a desperate attempt to externalize my internal agony, I began to claw at my chest, my nails raking across my skin. The physical pain was a mere shadow of the torment in my soul, spurring me to dig deeper, as if I could somehow excise the grief that had taken root in my heart. Your Highness, please stop. You're hurting yourself. Daria's voice cut through my haze of anguish as she tried to pull my hands away from my self-inflicted wounds. Her intervention only fueled my determination to feel something, anything other than this all-consuming sorrow. I bent forward, pressing my forehead against his chest, inhaling deeply to capture his scent one last time. The familiar smell, now tinged with the metallic tang of blood, would forever be etched in my memory. My love is all yours, I whispered, a final vow to the mate I had lost, the other half of my soul now torn away, leaving me adrift in a world that would never again feel whole. His non-response stirred the last thread of sanity. Bringing both of my hands to my chest, I ripped and clawed as much as I could. The pain in my heart overshadowed my physical one. My body worked hard to repair itself, But I didn't give it time. Howling for the last time, with the ocean's cold body in view, I clawed my way through when I reached my heart. I ripped it out of my chest. The blackness came over me again, like I was floating away. I could see what was going on beneath me, yet I was floating. The colors in the room dimmed. All I could see was Darius sobbing desperately, calling to the gods, demanding that it was a mistake. My head rested on her lap, heart and blood spilling out of my chest, other arm touching Ocean's gray body. She was a good one. I prayed to the spirits that they kept her safe. The priests were in high alert while panic mode set in. No one knew who killed us. There he was, in the shadows of a dark temple. I remembered him from somewhere. He was standing very far away, blocked by the wall of fire directly in my view. The guy in the temple looked up, like he was looking straight at me, whereas everyone else tried to tend to our dead bodies in grief. The darkness started to sweep over, blocking my view of the temple and ritual ground. My love. Someone called my name. It was hard for me to turn around towards the voice in this floating stance. I twisted my upper body while flailing my legs around, but Cal didn't reach any ground. A familiar hand touched my shoulder. He turned me around and tucked me under his chin. I could only see Ocean's face with the last light coming from below. I felt whole again, like I belonged. Nothing made sense. We were neither with the gods nor with the demons. We were in a floating limbo. We were in darkness. 24 Tiscan P. OV. 1st century. Tiscan ancient civilization, Northern Hemisphere. Your Highness, Hayden has escaped. I don't know how. He was supposed to. I don't know how it happened. The fire didn't work on him. My trusted friend El Aria exclaimed in panic. Then he must have had at least one parent who was blessed by the fire spirit. I tried my hardest to remain calm, not allowing the fear to show through. Yes, but we did not know that a hybrid of such powers existed. We aren't even sure of the powers of the ones that are dead. She followed me through the long hallways towards my personal study chamber. We did what the spirits wanted us. They tortured and murdered more than one people, just for fun. I know what we did was inhumane, but it necessary. We couldn't was let them hurt more people, Elaria. I tried to even though guilt kept its tight grip on my throat. They might have been monsters and deserved what was done to them, but I wasn't anything like them. I couldn't commit murder and sleep soundlessly. I understand, Your Highness, but what shall we do now? Her high-pitched voice scratched my eardrums. El Aria was one of the most powerful witch that the world had ever seen. Chestnut brown curls ended near her waist with bright green eyes that resembled the earth spirit Sora. She was the leader of her coven and my right-hand woman. We must find a way to capture him before he regains his full power, or the world would be in chaos. The guard at my chamber door was a jaguar. His broad shoulders and height only added to his ferociousness. I'd agree, but how? I might be a witch and we have the spirit's blessing, but are also powerful because they have both powers and we only have one. It strained us. She was correct. They were all recuperating. What about the bodies? The others were all burnt. Like you ordered. I ordered the witches to cast a tracking spell on a special item that each hybrid wore or carried daily. Something they couldn't live without. We didn't dare cast a spell on them. Couldn't have them become suspicious. When they were torturing humans, they were at their most vulnerable. They didn't care about who was around them or what was going on. They found pleasure in inflicting pain. That's when they were ambushed and poisoned with serpent venom. It couldn't kill them but paralyzed them for long enough to be brought into the woods. Then, as the spirits had asked, we put their limp bodies over stacks of dry wood and lit them on fire. 12 bodies burnt that night as the humans celebrated their freedom. They were also a part of my kingdom and I had the exact same responsibilities towards them as I did for my own kind. I had to protect them. We had to protect them. Ocean and I. The King of Tiscan and Great North. Sighing. I shuffled through the scrolls and scribes to find out any information about this hybrid called Hayden. Was he a phoenix? They could create fire, hence they didn't burn. Or a dragon rider. They were immune to fire. They could understand the language of a dragon. Protect them. Keep them from harm's way. They were the protectors of dragons. No. He burned, but everyone was so busy digging mass graves and the witches were trying to cloak them. We didn't notice when he managed to disappear. How I exclaimed. I don't know. She grabbed my hand. Maya, in telling you, I swear to all the spirits and all the goddess, I don't know how it happened or how he disappeared like that. She was frightened. Her unwashed tears glistened under the heavy candle-lit chandelier. Airspurt. He must be a fae, the vanishing gift. To be able to blend in where there is a highly powerful gift. Only our Shay could do that. I concluded. She was the last pure blood of her kind, even though there were countless of pure-blooded fays left. Their abilities varied depending on their family line and wings. Our Shay, however, didn't have wings. She was gifted with the ability to vanish into thin air, whereas everyone else had wings. She disappeared a long time ago, and no one had seen or heard from her. We initially thought she left northern and migrated to southern northwestern like many others were doing, expanding and discovering new lands. Finally, my hand landed on the scroll that had the word Hellhound written over the closed flap. The Hellhound was blessed by the fire spur and protected the spirit veil from the other side. They stopped and wanted creatures from entering the spirit world. Only a Hellhound was allowed to cross over undetected. They were immune to fire, but Hayden was a hybrid, meaning he was definitely burned. However, he was able to regain his senses and use his mother's technique to disappear. Our Shay had a baby with a Hellhound. Do we know where she is? Unfortunately, no. I didn't even know Hayden was her child. Honestly, we didn't even know that he existed until last new moon. She slumped down on the chair next to mine, hand on her head, exasperated. Aria, where's Regan's body? Regan was the reason why we finally came to know who the Darkling was. What heard rumors of a hybrid with such power that it even scared the supernatural beings. Her body is with the others. Please tell me what to do. She pleaded. I sat back and stared at the stone walls and open arched window. The rounded tower room graced us with the view of the flat lands of Kizkan before the mountains, and trees obscured the sight any further. I sighed, rubbing my eyes. My tight corset dug into my sides. Fatigue weighed me down. I needed sleep. I hadn't had a good night's sleep since the 12 hybrids started terrorizing the citizen openly. They committed crimes before, but they de-hide before emerging again. But recently, that wasn't. Since Hayden made his appearance, Kizkan wasn't the same safe space pace anymore. It's new moon tomorrow. Will you be speaking to the spirits? Aria asked. Yes, we must. 24. 'Tis Cantonea's P. O.V. 1st century. 'Tis an ancient civilization, northern hemisphere. Ocean's head rested on my chest, arms thrown over my waist, legs wounded between mine. He finally appeared in our chamber when the near full moon was high up in the sky. He came in complaining about a headache, and we both ended in our large bed with tall bed posts. I started massaging his head. What's the plan then? He mumbled. I'll speak to the spirits tomorrow. They should have warned us about him. I patted his cheek. I know. Do you know where our Shay is now or where Hayden came from? He'd been at work all day trying to find out more about him. His background, from anyone who came across him. I still can't believe HE's half-hellhound. He was as astonished as I was. I sighed loudly, hating the calmness of the air. I knew a storm was coming. What I despise the most is that Regan brought Hayden into our home. How did we not know Regan was a hybrid? I grumbled. She was the head servant in our West Wing. She made sure everyone did their job and everyone was taken care of. She brought him into this castle, promising us that he was the best human blacksmith. He didn't have any distinct smell, that's why werewolves didn't detect any treachery from him. We trusted her with our home, so we trusted him too, and he used it to stab us in the back with him. Many of our human employees started to go missing. It took the guards a while to find their remains. That's when we realized something was very wrong. Missing people. Dismembered bodies. People were terrified. That's when we started a hunt for the hybrids. Once we had evidence and witness that it was them, Aria and I spoke to the spirits. They didn't know what kind of havoc hybrids would cause, but they knew they were way more powerful than a supernatural with one elemental power. The spirits had no control over them, that's why they were even more dangerous. Go to sleep, my queen. You can worry about it tomorrow. He pulled me closer to him, and I allowed his comfort to chase away the terrors. Arya and I walked deep into the forest. Moonlight light, and the ground under our feet. It was a sacred meeting, hence we didn't bring our guard further into the woods. I heard the soft sloshing of water and knew we were close to the edge of the sea. What are you going to say to her? She held a satchel filled with herbs in a bowl. We usually didn't meet a ritual on a full moon night, but she was scared. She didn't think the spirits would grace her with their presence. That they should have told us about the hellhound. They shouldn't be our problem due to they aren't from our world. I patted her arm, making her nod in agreement. Her heart was racing like a galloping horse. The blood moon sat upon the sea, her edge touching its horizon. A usual blue sea reflected its red rays of light. Arya started chanting in the language of the creators. Then, as I uncomprehendavinisis, there were two ways to reach the spirits. One via the language of the spirits, and the other through pain inflicted upon us. Only the supernatural brought the spirits out to protect us. Green tendrils of smoke hovered in front of the moon. Wavy green flares danced with the wind. I marveled every time I came face to face with our Creator. Witches and werewolves were blessed by the earth spirit, hence our connection was always stronger. Races bounded by our Creator. Fays connected with our spirit, and mermaids with water. My children, it's come to my attention that one hybrid survived. A melodic tune sang through the air. You know it's not complete. We can't seal the gates and weaken it once. We can never open it again or make it again. I knew what she meant by it. It was to be spoken of. I know that, but HES half hellhound. We didn't know. We thought he was human at first. Now I understand why we couldn't catch a scent. Even though his mother was a fae, his body still functions as a creature of a spirit world. The venom didn't subdue him for long. I rubbed my forehead, an onset of headache emerging through. A hellhound. They aren't allowed to cross the veil. Her surprise shocked me. They were supposed to know everything about the supernatural beings, but not humans. They weren't in control of the humans. The humans weren't blessed by anyone, but they surely were lucky enough to multiply. Like rodents. I scoffed. Have you spoken to the fire spirit? My sister won't hide such significant information for me. She seemed offended, but I didn't care at that moment. We apologize, but how do we stop him now? We can't even find him. Arya stuttered. One thing I hated. How can a hellhound hide from the spirits? I wondered out loud. We do not have tracks of hellhounds when they walk the earth, because they aren't supposed to walk the earth. I didn't know why we didn't notice when he was gone. The Great Spirit herself seemed perplexed. Maybe because the veil was thin when he crossed over. We know it was our Shay who's the mother of this hybrid. She's blessed by the air spirit. Do you know where she is? I asked. Hybrids were tracked by the spirits as well, so I doubted she knew much about Hayden's whereabouts. She left Northern a long time ago. I don't know much about her. I have to ask my sister. I wanted to roll my eyes, but I couldn't disrespect her again. I heard leaves brushing against each from miles away. The air was too still for a scent to be carried over. Cal came to that sound being from one of the guards. I concentrated on what was in front of me. So what do you want us to do? You must, A severely burnt body ran through shadow of the woods. I didn't know how I didn't hear any noises. It took me 3 seconds to register who it was, what was happening, and how it happened. However, I was 3 seconds too late. I want her back, give her to me. The man with burnt flesh without any smell held onto one of the tendrils of the spurt. The edge created electric impulses that shot around, and the air around us became angry. The calm turned into the storm I'd been waiting for. The trees fought to hold their ground as the wind their branches back. The sea lapped against each other. We stepped back, trying to avoid backlash. Arya screamed, lifting my puffy beige skirt. I ran into the water to drag Hayden down. He wanted Regan's soul back. HES hellhound and could live on the other side, But HEF5, so at some point HED have to cross over because he couldn't survive there forever. We couldn't let that happen. We couldn't let him bring her back to Earth. Any of them. Stop him. The spirit started to rise. I couldn't touch the veil. Only hellhounds could. Help me stop him then. I screamed in the water, trying to reach him. That's when one of her tendrils wrapped around my waist and lifted me up. My smooth skin touched his burnt flesh and it slipped off, revealing his inner bloody muscles. AGH 24. Discom 3 May as P. OV. 1st century. Discom ancient civilization, Northern Hemisphere. I squirmed in disgust. Still, I pulled at him until his fingers slipped off the edge and into the water. The spirit held on to me with her smoky vines and set me down back on the ground. The bottom of my clothes were wet. I let out a loud howl, alerting my guards. Any supernatural creature would immediately respond to that. You can't let him cross over. My child. I'm giving you the responsibility, keep him in our realm. She started to rise higher and higher. No, you can't do that to me. My outburst was overshadowed by the howling wind and bashing branches. The guards finally broke through the thick darkness of the trees. I'll look over you as much as I can. We'll give you your love every time, but only you can stop him. We can't let them out back into the world. Her light started to dim. No. I screamed, entering the water again. You have to, or it will be chaos. I screamed at her fading smoke. If she was a human, I would have punched her in the face. I didn't want the responsibility. She told us to burn them. It wasn't my responsibility. She didn't even know what Hayden was. We were the one who found out his true nature. They didn't even know that a hellhound had crossed over. If she wanted me to do this for her, I needed something from her too. Then grant me one thing. It will be done. The air swirled around her. I didn't get a chance to ask her what I wanted. Suddenly, everything around me stilled. The red moon was back in our view. A frustrated growl escaped my throat. I needed to get it done before Hayden made his appearance. If he gets out, make sure you detain him. I don't know how, but make sure he doesn't disappear. I ordered the fighters who came to, indicating for me guards to follow me. I made my way towards the burnt bodies. Their stench had been bothering the wolves and any other creatures that lived near the woods. Your Highness, even if he gets to the other realm, he wouldn't find his mate there. Arya babbled on as she followed me. Fury clouded my judgment. I mean, they aren't supernatural. Their spirits won't go to our realm. Pausing, I wanted to turn back and tell her why, but I took an oath to guard the secret with my life. Suppressing the urge to scream, I carried on. No one was supposed to know the truth about hybrids. No one but Ocean and I when the Earth Spirit revealed it to us when she ordered us to annihilate them. Their spirits didn't go to the spiritual realm. They went to purgatory. A realm created by the spirits, guarded by fucking hellhounds. We weren't told much about the hellhounds, just that they were made by fire spirit to endure the hellish environment of the purgatory. However, the spirits scowled and sealed the gates forever until all 12 of them were inside. If the plan succeeded, they would have been sealed forever, to suffer in their own misery. The spirits scowled and make the mistake of opening the realm again and again, just in case one sneaked through. The spirits scowled and feel their presence, so they needed all of them at once, to lock them away forever. Everyone thought the hybrids died, just like humans, but it was so much more worse. Of course, a hellhound would know where Regan's soul was being kept. That's why he wanted to use the spirit realm to get to purgatory. HES, a hellhound hybrid. HED find his way there and release havoc. No one could know about it. The spirit was right. We couldn't let him do that. What are you planning, Your Highness? Arya stumbled along behind me. I need all the witches you can get. We need to cloak the castle from Hayden, and we need Regan's body. I turned towards one of my guards. Get someone else to bring her body to the back of the castle. It was the only way to keep Hayden from crossing over and releasing all the other hybrids. I became airborne and I didn't understand why. Usually my soul became airborne once it'd seen my death. My mind worked twice as fast trying to comprehend how I was floating in thin air and watching myself carry out the plan. The world spun while I stayed still. Afloat and soon crimson blood covered the grounds of Tizcan. The thin new moon was stark white, and even the air seemed stunned. It seemed like some time had passed. The humans celebrated their victory, whereas the ones with power escaped. My heart hurt for my people. Soon my eye ended up back where it all began. Behind walls of the royal castle, Hayden wore a black robe. Hood rested on his back. His face looked nearly melted. Disgusting loose black flesh hung off his jaw. One of his eye was stark white while the other one was pure red. I didn't know hellhounds could change their red eyes when walking the earth. He couldn't get into the castle because of the tailmisnums, and he couldn't see the grave tomb that was right behind him. The walls inside were marred with blood of all the witches that I ordered to hide away until they regained their strength. I didn't know that the humans that I protected would turn on us so violently. Hayden couldn't get in, so he manipulated the humans to turn on us. I didn't know how, but I knew he was behind their uprise. He was behind our downfall. I physically saw the souls of those witches banging on the walls, screaming to get out, but the bright flare of talisman kept them in. I floated towards the room ocean, and I resided into fine silver pouring out of my mouth and oceans. Blood gushed out of our wounds. Uncountable arrows stuck out from every pore of our bodies. That was the same with any creatures. They couldn't fight us hand to hand and win, so they created weapons that fired from far away to weaken us. Finally, I was myself. I was Nea, the queen of Tizcan, nor was I a muse or the teenage girl who was desperately in love with Ocean. I had to go back. I had to warn them. Even if I never got my wolf back, I had to tell Ocean how to stop all of this, and I knew exactly how. I screamed for the spirits. 25 present reminder from present life. Ocean and Nea are mates. She moves from her pack days. They are both alphas. Ocean acts cold and distant. Later, human hunters attacks Nea. Ocean and Nea argue, and she leaves. She gets attacked by the Darkling, a creature that's half hellhound and half fire. He takes May as wolf, and she gets hospitalist. Ocean feels guilty and tells Nea about reincarnation, and they try to bond. After a couple of weeks, Nea falls into a coma. Just a refresher. Aaron Draco's beta, Ocean's best friend. Macy Draco's Aaron's Nea's best friend. Aunt Livia Draco's Aaron's mother. Uncle Steve Draco's Aaron's father, former beta, Ocean's father's beta A, the pack doctor. Samu Lady, a son, saved Ocean when Ocean's parents died. Line is previous Lev's best friend, now they are older. Josh, sniper of the pack. Ise Akato Nea's mother, and Rukato Nea, a father back to present. Ocean's P. OV. Dark Wood. 21st century. It had been a whole week since my mate was pronounced dead. It had been a whole week since I recused from my alpha position. It had been a whole week since an all-around curfew was established. 2 weeks since I gave up living. Unruly beard marred my face, and uncut hair that reached my jawline. Aunt Livia had been keeping me alive by practically forcing food down my throat. Stephen and Aaron were in charge of the pack, and Ryan had ordered crates of canned food for the whole pack that would last for months. No one was allowed out. My head turned towards Nea. Her body was plugged up to a breathing ventilator. A head cat monitoring her brain activity. The lines working overtime to keep up whatever was going through her head. I was hospitalist again after my team found me passed out on the ground. I was empty. The void inside me was eating me alive, and I wanted to be with her. I wanted to die with her. Like I have 4 centuries, but when they told me that her MRI scan shows significant activity, but her body wasn't responding to any stimulants, ADA provided me with a medical bed in her room. I couldn't leave her side. The pack was getting restless, and they wanted to know what happened and why. The elite team and the only immediate family knew the true reason. I had a splitting headache from the lack of connection with my mate. You need to sleep, Ocean. I felt Adi's comforting hand on the back of my head. I'd been sitting on this chair for days. Come on. They'll give you some anesthetic to help you sleep. You need to be strong when she wakes up. What if she never wakes up? My voice was sore and hollower than usual. I was weak and unstable. Look at her brain activity. It's too high for her to be dead. She's only paralyzed. Hold on the hope, young Alpha. Her nickname for me stabbed a sword through my heart. It was Samuel's nickname for me when I was a teenager. The brave son who gave his life to save mine. I'm sorry. I planted my head in my palms. Elbows rested on my knees. For what? For getting Samuel killed. I don't think I've ever heard you say those words. I heard her voice soften. He didn't protect the future Alpha. He protected his little brother. My throat constricted with tears. You did him proud by growing up to be the man you've become. I wanted to argue with her about the statement because I was proud of who I had become. I tugged at my long hair, wishing it was Naya. Our first kiss flashed through my mind. She was fighting for dominance, just like a true Alpha. Come on, get to bed. They'll hook you up to some saline solution while you sleep. If the bed was next to her, I would have declined, but she was still in arm's length, so I complied. It helped me forget. It helped me escape reality. She inserted the appropriate needles to my arm, and I wondered what happened to the memories from my past lives. Since Naya collapsed, the world seemed to have stilled around me. We've lifted the curfew, Alpha. People were getting restless and we haven't had any attacks for 2 weeks. We can keep their movements limited, but other than that we are all good. Aaron stood with his hand behind his back. Josh was behind him, stoic with a rifle in his hand. The boy grew up overnight. Stephen informed me that he doesn't mess around anymore, even talks. For the matter of fact, I was still hooked up to the saline machine. Macy looked like she fell asleep on my chair with her head resting on Naya's bed. I ran my hand from my greasy hair. I needed a shower before I stunk the whole place. Lee was around somewhere. She insisted on staying for a little while. What else? I cleared my throat before speaking. Everyone is wondering what happened. Aaron averted his eyes towards his mate and my longing for mine grew. No one would believe it, so tell them. My mate was attacked and she might die soon. I had no emotions left. Aaron looked haggard, but not as bad as me. He blinked a couple of times, thinking something over. Give us some privacy. He moved his head slightly towards Joshua, and surprisingly, he complied without a word. HES learning. Naya would have been proud. Aaron rubbed his forehead before hastily sitting down at the corner of my bed. Just spit it out. I commanded him. Irritated. He opened his mouth trying to voice his concerns, but instead he patted me on the shoulder and whispered dim sorry before leaving. I just wanted some peace. Alpha, can I speak to you? It will only take a minute. Josh poked his head in. Finally set his eyes down on Naya. His face dropped, lowering his eyes. He moved around her bed towards me. I didn't care for much company, but he was still a member of my pack. Alpha. I hadn't spoken to him since he was in one of these beds himself. I'm sorry I couldn't protect her. His voice was firm and eyes remained focused. Unlike before. It's not your fault. If I knew why, I never would have brought the Tahoe. I need you to know it had nothing to do with disrespecting you. He spoke as fast as he could, trying to finish his apology. I forgave him already because I was to blame, not him. I also should have told him about the Darkling. About my past lives like the whole elite team. I undermined him and I shouldn't have. It was your fault. So stop blaming yourself and be the best version of yourself you can be. That's what Shed want. I pointed at Naya. He stared in misery. Well, all right. I don't know. I answered honestly, wishing the headache would leave, even for just a second. He sighed before leaving swiftly. Suddenly Naya's heart monitor started making an absurd noise, setting everyone in a frenzy. I pulled out the needle from my arm before jumping off the bed to see what was wrong with her. Her body started convulsing and Macy ran out to get ADA, who was already at the door. What's happening? I screamed, terrified that this was it. Her brain waves were showing significant amount activity. A couple of nurses came running trying to push me out of the way, but I couldn't let cold hand. Her vitals are elevating. 80 as convoys cut through the chaos. She had a needle ready to stick into her arm when Naya's seizing started to decrease. Her brain waves returned to normal and heart rate too. Shess breathing on her own. 80A was as surprised as I was. I was elated and couldn't comprehend anything Ada was saying. What does that mean? I felt faint. It means Jess not comatose and has every chance of recovering. Everyone in the room stood shocked. I guess everyone lost their hope, and somewhere along the line so did I. My chest constricted and I sagged next to her bed in relief. My knees gave out. Head limped against the mattress. I heard footsteps before the door burst open. Is she awake? I heard Jess awake. Her mother's voice, scraped, could have been heard from miles away. So much for keeping things on the down low. I stood and faced her father's hatred. I welcomed it. A feeling I could accept, considering I felt the same way about myself. I let their daughter believe that I didn't want her when I never came for her. I didn't warn her about the dangers outside of these walls. Jess breathing on her own now. Ada walked around to check the monitors. She patted my arm in the process. Livia held on to Issei, preventing her from collapsing, whereas her dad was accompanied by Lion and not Steven. He had work to do, packed to care of, so she will wake up. Her father's hopeful voice was not of an alpha. I see no reason for her not to. 25.5 awake. Ocean's P. OV present. The Katos and the Dracos were pacing in the waiting area, just down the hall. Memories of my parents flooded me. At first it was before they died. Their smiling faces, a funny alpha who loved to show unlimited affection towards my mother. It used to gross me out when I was a child. Every alpha I met was stoic and downright arrogant, whereas my dad played the game. Acted like he was fit into the criteria of an alpha, but he was far from it. Andrew Kaito was one of them, but he loved his daughter. When my memories switched to them lying them in their blood with many others near the front of the woods where the gates were now. Vacant eyes. Limp bodies. Their last cries that tore through the pack link. Suddenly, Naya moved. Her ventilator was taken out and she was free majority of her wires. She groaned and I felt like I could breathe again. Naya. The door burst open and her parents rushed in, bombarding her with questions. Honey, it's me. I'm here, sweetheart. I'm sorry I'm late. Oh, I cried, stroking her head. I turned them out, concentrating her my mate. Since the ventilators had been taken out, some color had returned to her and skin. Her eyes started to flutter open, lips opening and closing. She was alive. Her arm moved and I took her hand in mine. I blinked a couple, not believing my eyes when her slender hand wrapped around mine. I wondered if she knew that it was me. Slowly, her eyes opened and they landed me. We're going to transfer you to Royal Blue Gates now that you're awake. Get you the right treatment. Her mother was coddling her and a part of me agreed with her, but the other part, the one that had fallen in love with her, refused. She didn't let go of my hand at all and I was glad. Jess not even awake yet. Just wait, Auntie say. Macy was near the door. Ada didn't allow anyone else to come in. Lee was there in the background, looking nervous for Naya. Bites. A very soft, raspy whisper hushed everyone. Hearing Naya's voice after so long soothed my soul. Ada immediately turned down the lights. Water. I hurried to provide it for her. She was groggy and lucid but held on to my hand tightly. Before she became sick. We had a difficult relationship and the hardest thing was I felt the lack of love she had towards. Unlike the amount of affection I had towards her. I just knew how to hide it well. She finally opened her eyes and pulled my hand closer. Startled, she looked around trying to comprehend what was going on. A cruel thought flipped my stomach. What if she doesn't remember anything? Ah, she groaned. I didn't know what to do or say while she roamed her eyes over every in and out of the room. Then, after deep thought, she breathed out. What's going on? You got sick, sweetheart. You're here now. That's all that matter. Her mother brushed her hair back, just like mine used to when I got sicko. Naya looked at me again. Her hand left mine and I wanted to drop dead at the moment. Instead, she lifted her hand to my thick overgrown bread. How long was it out for? 2 weeks. I was in need of some water myself. She kept running her fingers through my scruff ass when her father cleared her throat. Again. She turned. Her dropped straight to mine again, and this time I held on with all my might. Dad. Mum, you don't look so good. She tried to smile. Oh, honey. Her mother broke down before hugging her. I'm going to give my friend a call. Get the plane ready. You're going to a proper hospital. There was revulsion in his voice now. Naya was firm. She moistened her lips. Okay now. If we get out of these walls, the Darkling might come after us again. She had trouble speaking, but she was trying her best to stay on track. I need my wolf back. But honey, you'll die without my wolf. No human treatment will help me. I need my wolf. Her father deflated when she reached out to him. She had him wrapped around her finger. He treated her like a princess and even fought every alpha there was to make his daughter the first ever. The prideful man sat at the edge of her bed on the other side with his back to me. You scared us. Don't you dare do that again. His voice choked up without much caring for who was around. I'm all right. Daddy lovingly bent forward and kissed her on the forehead. Everything is going to be okay. A nervous laugh escaped from everyone. All right, everyone out. I need to check vitals. Get another quartz can done, so go. ADA shooed everyone out before sliding close the opaque glass doors. Everyone sent quick prayers to the spirits for her well-being as we waited outside. ADA informed her that she'd be removing all the wires and explained the quartz cans that needed to be. Naya tried to lighten the mood by making small jokes, but she remained quiet for the most part. She kept complaining about her dry lips and desperate need for a shower. What troubled me was her mental state. I was told I went into a catatonic state after she was hospitalist. I wondered if that was the case for her. She'd always been headstrong, which I took for granted. She was in the shower when Livia brought cardboard boxes filled with Tupperware containers filled with all types of food. I sneaked away from my own shower, and when I was back, Lee was walking out of Maya's room. She seemed elated, and when I caught up with her, she told me that Maya wanted to visit his kin soon. Lee thought it was a good idea. Figure out what they missed out from their previous life. I thought it was a ridiculous idea. Naya had just woken. She was already walking around, demanding for things like she didn't nearly die. When I walked into her room without knocking, she was standing around, speaking to Macy like to old friends. The sight of her walking, talking and smiling drained all my doubts disappeared. She beamed. Her wet wavy hair reached her gray sweatpants that had darker damp spots from the tips of her beautiful hair. She had a simple black shirt on, just like I did with gray shorts. Come in. I ran a hand through my wet hair, making sure they remained behind my ears. 25.5 awake to. Oceans P. OV present. I'll give you some time together. The food's still here. Every onus gone home, even though your mum didn't want to. Livia managed to drag her home for some rest. Macy hugged my mate before bouncing her way out of the room. Closing the door behind me, I made my way to her. Slowly, prayed that she didn't disinter. She came to me, tentatively, her hands by her side. I like the new look. Her hand reached for my scruffy beard. She leaned into me of her own accord. She was much skinnier than before, and I missed her softness. Granted, we were never physically that close, but in our other lives, we were inseparable. Also the hair. She ran her long nails through them, brushing them behind. You look handsome. She was flirting with me, and I didn't know what the fuck to say. She left me tongue-tied. Like always. You need to sit down. I've been laying down for months. I need to stand. She interrupted me, wounding her arms around my waist before she rested her chin on my chest and looked up with those gray eyes. She looked gaunt, but she was still the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen. I stroked her head adoringly. I'm so happy you're awake. It felt like a dream. She was holding me, speaking to me, seemed more upbeat than a recovering comatose patient. No matter what. I took what I got from her. I wasted too many days running from her. No more. I loved it when she bunched her hands into fists while holding my t-shirt, like she was desperate for me. Are you sure you're all right? Yes, but... She shook her head from side to side. Before I could open my mouth, so saying, she put her finger over my lips. I'm fine. I took her into my arms, tucked her under my chin, finally savoring the feel of her body. I promise it'll be better this time. I couldn't lose her. I'll tell you whatever you need to know. Just don't leave this time. I guided her towards her bed and sat down, making sure her bed was elevated in the right angle for her to lean comfortably. Using the adjustable table stand, I laid out all the boxes for her. Her appetite matched mine, and I had to smile at her eagerness. So you knew about me and had me followed. Tell me more about that. I paused, letting her smirk sink in. Before she went under, she acted as if she didn't care about it. Yes, she was angry at first but didn't ask about it later. It took a while. I didn't know where you were, but once I found you. I thought about bringing you here. Then I thought about how my parents were killed. I couldn't have that happen to you, so I kept an eye on you from far away. Is that how you got your scar? She leaned over, glided her fingertips across my throat. 80 as son Samuel took the bullet for me. Her eyes widened. Sigh adverted towards the door. How her sadness for me touched my heart. When I saw their body, I lost it. Didn't know the sniper was still there. Samuel was detailed to protect my dad. He shielded me with his body. The bullet went through him, ripped my throat open. Thankfully, it was only a graze. I shoved more food into my mouth to ignore the pain that bubbled deep in my stomach. We'll avenge their death. Trust me. I stared at her, questioning her intentions. The seriousness on her face alerted me. She looked around, trying to see if there was anyone around. Then she took her phone out from her pocket and typed something to me without pressing send. I remember everything from our previous life. I met the Earth Spirit and I know what we need to do. The Spirit told me to not trust anyone. Lee betrayed us in our previous life. Don't know who to trust in this one. Don't tell anyone I remember. There's so much. More I need to tell you, but not when people can hear. I need you to trust me. I stared at her in shock. My brain was overworking because she was remembering. I put my hand on my head, wondering what to say and what not to. She took it back and erased it so she didn't mistakenly send it. Then it hit me. Her affection towards me was because of our previous life and not of who I was. I didn't know how to feel about that. Maybe I was more attached to her before because I knew about her longer. Obsessed over her. Lost at the same thing. I tried to mentally contact her, then realized why she wrote down the message. We couldn't communicate. She was officially a member of my pack. Shame filled me once again. Another reminder of my failures. It would have been so much easier if I had just marked her. She wouldn't have felt so alone and isolated. I'm going to throw her out. She shook her head vigorously, trying to stop me now. Grabbing her phone. Again. She didn't type for a long time. It irritated me for not marking her, for not making her mine, for not protecting her. I was drowning in failure and it was killing me. I need her to get me to this can. I may know how to defeat the Darkling, but I need until the next full moon. You need to keep an eye on Lee. We need her to take us. It will only work with her. I wanted to shout from the mountain tops that she was a traitor, but I guess my mate had a plan. Her eyes were pleading. She kept mouthing please, and I couldn't say no to her. I wanted to know about the plan, but she just typed trust me, and I did. We needed to use the traitor to lead us to the predator. 26 Traitor Mays P. OV present. A red moon hung in dark sky. Clouds reflected the bloody aura. I hated that I couldn't speak to Ocean openly. I usually typed a text to him and then showed it to him. Didn't risk sending it fully. The car jerked, causing me to bump into Ocean. He physically pushed me further inside the car against a J, and quickly blocked me from getting out. He was a pure wall of muscles, and my wish to sit next to the window was ignored like I wasn't even speaking. Safety precaution. He didn't believe when I told him nothing was going to happen to us because it was a full moon and the veil was thin. He didn't even want me to go outside of the walls, but when I told him the exact plan and that Lee was our bait, he complied. Tithcan was 5 hours drive away, and we left around 6 in the evening to give us enough time to reach our destination and carry out what I had planned by midnight. Stop squirming. Ocean squeezed my thigh. It turned me on instead of settling me. I tried to focus on the task ahead, but it was hard. All the memories of us from so many lives overloaded my emotions towards him. I leaned into him, confident in my plan. I can't believe I agreed to it. Ocean scratched his scar and I wanted to tell him so much more about his previous life and personality. Just trust me. We will find more answers there. Every car had a strong talisman so the Darkling couldn't track us, and if I knew correctly, he wouldn't be able to see the car, let alone send his hunters after us. So what exactly is the plan? AJ turned sideways in his seat to face me properly. If you're shooting at him, shoot him in his back. If you get close to him, go for his throat. I remembered all the attacks throughout lifetimes. That bastard was vicious and used every cowardice trick anyone could use. To kill us. Anything else. He'll tell you when we get there. Even though he was one of Ocean's most trusted soldier, Butley was my best friend from previous life, and yet she betrayed me. Wow, Day exhaled loudly. The castle was tainted with overgrown moss and ivy. We used flashlights to navigate, but they were all macured werewolves and could see perfectly in the dark. Unlike me, I didn't bring my parents or Macy no matter how much they protested. Macy was pissed that I chose to bring Lee instead of her. I couldn't tell her the truth just in case someone heard it. I need for people at each corner of the castle. I need you to start breaking the walls in each corner. I need you guys to dig out the 4 talismans. Everyone else, guard them. I instructed them. They stood strong under the red moonlight, surrounded by ancient trees with guns in their hands and hips. They were ready for a battle. 4 SUVs sat just inside the large iron gates. The gates I remembered seeing when I first entered the Darkwood Pack. Why? It was disrespectful to question an alpha. It indicated that the alpha was incompetent. But it was Aaron who asked, so it let it go. I didn't want to think about my lack of wolf pulling down my rank to just a mere human. You won't believe me if I told you. I gave him a courteous smile before I made my way toward the tomb I remembered from before. I stared at the moon, wondering if I was putting too much faith in something that might not work. Ocean was right next to me as he knew the plan, but he was also concerned about his pack. I heard hammers attacking the hard, stony walls. People were putting their blind faith in me, and I couldn't let them down. The trees tried to hide moonlight away, but something else was present. I could feel it in the air. The finality. The end. Even if it took me with it. There was no way I could let this go on any longer. Are you sure this will work? Ocean tried to hide the doubt in his voice, and I was grateful for that. He wrapped a holster belt around my weights and stuck 2 guns on each side, just in case Hayden brought reinforcement. It's full moon. Naya, why are you doing that? How do you even know about the corners? I didn't have time to tell you about the talismans. Lee appeared distressed in air and walked behind her with a frown on his face. Shadows obscured half his face, but his yellow eyes didn't shy away from the light. I watched her eyes reflect the moonlight. Her horror-stricken face indicated that she knew she was caught. I needed her to bring the Darkling to us. So what did you do? How did communicate with him? Everyone heard and stopped. Even the ones further away. Their yellow eyes cut through the darkness. She stumbled back. Her mate was here to protect her. She tried to make a run for it, but Aaron held her by her shoulders. Shocked himself. So tell me, why did you betray your best friend? I stopped just outside where the thick woods began behind the castle. The moon was right where it was the day it all began. What are you talking about? She stuttered. Answer. Ocean lost his patience. He'd been itching to bring her to justice. She visibly flinched. Her chin wobbled. Eyes watered behind her glasses. Why? Because everything is about you. She cried. You get your damn dream mate and I was nothing. Everything was always about you. I was sick and tired of it. She sobbed. Terrified of what was yet to come. So you decided to kill me. My hand reached for my gun. Angry at what she had done. How do you know? I remember everything. I shouted back. You helped him, didn't you? He slipped in the wolf stain. I accused. Where the hell did you meet him? How did you even know it was him? Look. I've dedicated my life to right the wrong I did when I was a teen. I promise you everything I've done since then is to help you. I didn't know what it felt like to have mates until I met mine, and I had to do everything I could to protect him. So I contacted the Sore Ranks witches for Tailmissums and I did everything to protect Ocean. She lifted her chin towards Ocean. I didn't know the damage I did. I'm so sorry, Nea. She sobbed. I'm so sorry. How did you even meet him? I questioned her. I sniffed out the trail you used that night you guys went with Alina. When she never came back and you guys didn't say anything, I went there the next day. The Darkling was there, rummaging through the witch's ritual bowl. He didn't do anything but carry the witch's body and belongings in air with him. Then he was gone. That's it, Ocean retorted. He found me again on my way here. You guys didn't even notice I was gone. He attacked me, tried to kill me, but when I told him it'd do anything for him, he let me go. He then tracked me down and gave me the poison to give it to you, and if I did, he'd leave me alone, and he did. You agreed to kill your best friend. I stepped towards her, wanting to cause bodily harm. You didn't care about me. Why the hell do you expect me care about you? She was distraught. I remember the spirit tell me to not trust anyone. She didn't know who it was going to betray me, that's why she was specific, but she knew something was coming. I know what type of person I was in my previous life. You were like a sister to me, but I was going to die and I didn't know what to do. I was protecting you by staying away, but you took it the wrong way. So you betraying us has nothing to do with me. I tried to make it up to you in this life. I know what I did was wrong. IVE brought you Tailmissums, helped you keep him away from both our packs. What else do you want me to do? Aaron was dragging her away. Bring him here. 26.5 Regan Nayas P. Ovi present. I have no contact with him. I wear a talisman myself to keep him away. I don't know how. I turned away, ignoring her useless cries. Ocean commanded his men to carry on getting the Tailmissums out from the castle. He will come when he feels the veil getting thinner then. After all, HES a hellhound. I entered the thick woods. Using the torchlight as my guide, I looked for an anomaly in the ground. I can see better in the dark. Tell me what you're looking for. He took me by my hand and tugged me with him. I kept the flashlight still. A flat ground in the middle of unruly grass. We walked parallel to the castle instead of following the narrow path that was once clear of overgrown shrubbery. Flat ground. No one's been here in centuries. Where would you find flat ground? He was shaking. I could tell he was angry for trusting Lee for years. I brushed my thumb across the back of hand, trying to soothe him. The clouds moved away, brightening the area, and the light broke through the trees and shooting diagonal straight lines right on the flat ground, like pointing arrows. There, we picked up our pace and stopped right next to the edge of the wide rectangular void. What now, damn it? He tried to walk into the rectangle, but his feet bashed against an invisible barrier. Okay, what the fuck is that? I dropped to my knees next to rectangle. I remember Del Aria circling the tomb with a witch's ladder. Regan was half nymph and half fae. I knew she was a fae because of her wings, but she knew how to hide her nymph side. Granted, I didn't know about her life outside these walls, but hybrids were sociopaths. Perfect chameleons. A nymph was mischievous by nature, but a hybrid was much crazier. What are you looking for? He started doing the same, and with claws he managed to dig in faster pace than mine. A witch's ladder. Its charmed braided cord with a lot feathers. Bones and charms. He wouldn't know what charms were in witch's term because he was there. They are herbs, from mistletoe to valerian, but they probably look like right wigs now. What's the reason for it? Each knot was created with a spell by 10 powerful witches. El Aria? She was the leader of the coven and his can. Told me that this spell keeps the supernatural body intact. I had a lot of explaining to do after we got out of this predicament. Considering Plana with Lee didn't work. I need one where the spirits were forced to thin the veil so Hayden could find us. Whose soul? Just when I was about to answer him, an eerie form of green light shone from near the moon. Everyone was astounded as I was. I didn't know my human form had any command over the spirits. That's when the air around us began to thicken. White foggy mist started to rise from the ground. The damn half-hellhound felt the presence of the spirits, but this time, I had the upper hand. I had what he wanted. I had Regan. Keep digging. This is who he wants. He thinks Regan is dead and that her soul is on the other side. He kills us every life because the spirits takes our soul and keep us in a limbo, and like every other supernatural creature who dies and goes to the other side. The Darkling is half hellhound, therefore he can survive in the limbo and take that route to the purgatory to find Regan's soul. But I made a deal with the spirits to keep her soul separate and when I needed them to release her soul back on Earth. I needed Regan and Hayden to be at their most vulnerable to catch them. Just like before. How we caught the hybrids the first time. At their most weak state. When their guards were down. The night he escaped and tried to enter the spirit world, I made a deal with the Earth Spirit. I made the witches cast a binding spell on her body. Ready when the spirits returned her soul when I asked. This is her burnt body covered in ointment slab to prevent her from decaying. Once we find the rope and break the binding, the soul will return to her body and he will have his Regan. The fog was thickening. I needed to get his attention. We're giving him what he wants. He paused. Wait. How's that even possible? Yes, and keep digging and have your claws ready. I slapped my hands together, ridding myself of the damp dirt. I need to distract him, no. He stood to, making his way towards me. It'll do. Suddenly a scream emanated from one of Ocean's men, followed by a thud. The atmosphere grew greener, indicating the veil was thinner and closer. If he killed us before I could get through to him, everything I did would be in vain. Keep digging. I need them to release the tailmusnums and the bow needs to be broken. I walked towards where the thickest white fog, merging with the green smoke. He can't see it. He needs to see it. I need that bond broken. I ordered my alpha mate, who had trouble accepting orders, but when another groan and a thud echoed across the woods, he gave me a curt nod and got back to finding rope. I walked through the eerie forest, the similar green light at my feet from centuries ago. Only I wasn't wearing a dress and a crown. I was equipped with automatic guns and an army knife in one of my leather boots. My long ponytail swayed side to each step. The end was near. The hammering began once again, but with a much quicker pace. Some cursed and some downright walked towards where the fog commenced from. I watched as an enforcer named Garrett flew across, clearing and against the castle wall. Hayden! I screamed. I wanted him to know that I knew his real name. I know what you want. The shadowy figure emerged from the trees near the iron gate. He cowled and and so he just stood there, watching like a predator. You remember? His voice was a whisper, ridding the winds that brushed against my ears. I thought I killed you. Too bad. You'll have to do it again. The wind talked me just as he extended his arm. I didn't fight it because I knew it wouldn't last too long. I heard Doshin cry out. A gunshot broke through the trees. Hayden's head flew back and unfortunately for us, his body was still attached to it. I could breathe again. Everyone needed a secret weapon and Josh was mine. The kid might just grow up to save the world one day. Flashback. You took your time. I thought you'd come to see me at the clinic. You broke my heart. My over-the-top dramatic reading was aimed towards Josh. Whoever categorized 19-year-old boys as men had never seen Josh's patchy beard. I laughed, pointed his jawline. His glum face finally broke into a smile. He cupped his chin, trying to hide his baby hairs. You look chipper for someone who nearly died. The dark circles under his eyes overshadowed his young features. Chipper, have you been talking to my parents? I realized that Northern had some phrases that Western didn't use even though the overall language was the same. They were so worried. I got up from the sofa in our lounge to engulf him in a big hug. He was extremely tall but didn't have the width as Ocean. Aaron, Ager Lion. That would come with time. I was so worried. I thought it was a lie when they told me you died. I came here to check. His voice quivered. He also didn't have much control over his emotions, and soon I realized that neither did I when it came to my mate. Don't worry. I'm better now. No fatigue. No headache or nausea. I patted his arm once we pulled away. Do you want something to drink or eat? No. I am actually on duty. I just came by to see you. He sat upright, ready to bolt any time he was summoned. Ocean told me you're being a good boy. I ruffled his hair, making his groan before pulling away. I promised the spirits that it'd be good if they didn't take you. Well, Now I guess I have too. He rolled his eyes, mocking me. I slapped his arm playfully. So reincarnation. How's that coming? I haven't had any flashbacks since coma or whatever they are calling it. I paused, then decided to break the pact I made with Ocean. I needed his talent and I trusted him with my life. Even if he was to betray me, he still owed me one. So I picked up the pen and paper and started to write. I need you make 5 iron bullets. You can't tell anyone. Make it for your own rifle. I need you on a treetop. Miles away when time comes. Nowhere near where we will be, but I need you inside the gates. You shoot him the minute he gets his hands on me or Ocean. He won't kill anyone else. It's just me and him that he wants. End of flashback.